Welcome to the India FinTech Diaries, the only podcast focused exclusively on the Indian FinTech market. I'm Elroy.
And I'm Hemant. In each episode, we dive into the latest trends, ideas, innovations, business models, and personalities that are shaping India's FinTech landscape.
We also invite amazing guests who are innovators and industry players that are driving the change that is helping make financial services more modern, innovative, and inclusive in India. Come join us as we explore the changing landscape of FinTech in India. Hello and welcome back to the India FinTech Diaries. I'm Elroy Saram and I'm joined by my co-host Hemant Shivsagar. How are you doing today, Hemant?
I'm doing great, Elroy. After looking at the crypto landscape in the last few episodes, we thought it's now time to speak to an Indian firms that are developing new models in this space. And to kickstart the discussion, we have with us today Tarusha Mittal, COO and co-founder Oropocket. Welcome to India FinTech Diaries, Tarusha.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me here. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Tarusha, you started your career as an editor and content writer and somehow ended up in the world of blockchain. Talk to us a little about your journey and your association with the world of crypto.
I started off my journey right out of school, and with the entrepreneurial venture that was in the magazine space. It was a local lifestyle magazine in Lucknow. But then, I kind of ventured into deep tech because my co-founder is somebody who I've known since I was in school. He wanted to start something and he wanted me on the business side of things. So that is how I got into the tech. Obviously, I did not really have any tech background. I was a humanities student. So it was pretty much learning on the go. So it's been a very interesting journey so far, starting with the data center and with the cloud business, and then moving towards blockchain. So we were the co-founders of one of the first Ethereum exchanges of India. But in 2017, when the RBI had come up with a prohibitory order for companies to not be able to avail banking services, then at that point, it became a little difficult for us to continue with that platform. We had not raised money. So the only two options were either to, sort of move abroad, operations abroad, or shut it down. So we had to actually shut it down. And that is when we started working on Oropocket, and under its umbrella we have three products now: Oropocket, OpenDefi, and Unify.
Understood. And Tarusha, you spoke about DeFi, and that's a space that a lot of people want to understand more. So tell us about what DeFi is from your point of view, and how would you really define it?
Sure. DeFi, according to me, or by the text, let's go by the textbook definition first. So DeFi is just the financial system which is being built on top of blockchain. It is decentralized in nature. That essentially means that there is no concentration of power in one place, and that is what DeFi is on a very macro level. But for me, I believe that DeFi is like a great equalizer. Like crypto and blockchain are great equalizers. They're second right after internet. It enables people who might be excluded by default from the traditional financial system that is there because of certain checks and prerequisites. It enables and empowers them to be a part of this new economy that is being created. It gives more power to the end user to actually have a say in how their money is being used, and what do they want to sort of do with their money, and how can they get started on their wealth creation journey rather than just living paycheck to paycheck.
That's pretty interesting, Tarusha. Let's extend this a little further and take a look under the hood. Right. So what are some of the popular DeFi cases that you've seen, and how do these work? So let's try and understand that more in detail and make that simpler for our listeners to understand.
Sure. So, for DeFi has so many kinds of applications, right?
Right.
And think of all the financial applications that you're using on a day-to-day basis when, you are just interacting with the traditional financial system. So you are using, a bank account, and in the DeFi space, that will be a wallet where you're keeping your tokens. In a traditional space, you will avail loans. You can do that as well in the DeFi space. Perhaps they can be P2P in nature, or, they can be backed by a certain collateral, which might be another token. Then, there is a leverage and there is staking. So I give that example of, I give the analogy of staking. Think of staking like creating an FD. You have certain, like in an FD's case, you put in cash, and in the form of interest or the yield that you are getting, that is also in the form of fiat. But in the case of staking, you basically, there are different mechanisms. So one of my products is a Unifarm, where it's a group staking and farming mechanism. So just to simplify this further, it means that if you're holding certain kind of tokens, so you can stake them. That essentially means that, you are locking them on the smart contract, and in form of a yield or a return or an interest, you get either the same token or other tokens. So Unifarm as a solution is unique because you are able to stake one token and you're able to farm or get a yield in the rest, in various other tokens. So that kind of diversifies your return, and there is no market exposure to such staking. Obviously, there are other staking mechanisms as well, like liquidity farming, wherein there is market exposure. So
Right.
in yield farming, there is no market exposure. Your principal is always safe. But that is not the case with liquidity farming. So whatever kind of financial applications you can think of, like say paying with a card. Now we have crypto backed cards. So if you are holding some tokens, you can actually use those cards. Not in India yet, but they are being used extensively by in Europe by Crypto.com. They have their card program. So you can then you can just swipe that card and utilize your crypto for day-to-day payments. So all of these applications are getting mirrored in the DeFi space, whatever is happening in the traditional system. It's just that in the DeFi space, it's easier to become a part of this new economy because it is decentralized and it is supposed to be very inclusive, and there is no discrimination based on where you live or how much money you are holding in your bank.
Tarusha, I just had one quick follow-up question. I'm curious, when you mentioned staking, right? You mentioned that there are different models there. The models typically give you a yield on the crypto that you have staked, right? So how is this yield typically generated? What are some of the mechanisms that are used to generate the yield as a return?
Okay, so I'll talk about my own product here, with
sure.
Unifarm. As I said, that it's like a group farming and staking mechanism. So what we do is, for Unifarm as a brand, we approach multiple DeFi projects and we get them to form a farm or a cohort. Okay, basically
Right.
they're like 5-6 projects. They come together and they contribute the rewards that will be ultimately distributed to the end user. The advantage that these projects get is when they come on the platform and they enable their users to be able to stake their token, which gives an additional utility to their token. This also helps with their it affects the price of the token in a positive manner because there is more demand. Then more users will be inclined to buy the token because they want to stake it so that they can get those diversified yield. We do a lot of marketing activities around these projects to basically make sure that the entire ecosystem is growing together, so no project is being left behind and everybody is getting their due. So all of these are the advantages for the projects themselves, and that is why they choose to come on Unifarm. And for the end user, again, the advantages are many because you're staking one token, you're getting a yield in multiple tokens. It's non-custodial in nature. So essentially that means that we work with a MetaMask, we work with Trust Wallet, Coinbase Wallet. So we are not really taking custody of, your tokens. You are just sort of putting them on the smart contract. So that kind of guarantees safety. There is no market exposure in this kind of farming. So your principal is always safe, and we guarantee a minimum APY of 36%. It can go as high as 250%. Again, this is an under promise because we have seen a lot of farms closing recently and users have made a killing, like 900% APY, 1700% APY. So really mind-bogglingly good numbers. So that is how Unifarm works. And staking on different platforms comes with its own mechanisms. Usually, Unifarm is very unique in its offering. The other staking platforms that you'll go to, you will have to basically, one disadvantage is that for different tokens, you'll have to go to different platforms. This is for the end user. It can be quite a hassle. And the other is that usually staking is done in pairs. So, you stake one kind and you get, either the same coin like an FD works, or you'll get like a stable coin as like a yield. So here it is diversified. So that makes it very, very unique.
Understood. And Tarusha, when you put it that way, it becomes very, very clear. I think it's just the new terminology that sometimes makes it very, very complicated. But moving on to the money question, what's the revenue model in this? How do players like you make money in this product?
So we charge the projects themselves who want to be a part of like Unifarm. that is our revenue channel right now. And obviously, as we are moving forward, Farm is going to be launching a bunch of a lot new features. We are developing and working on an AMM, which is an automated market maker. We are working on liquidity farming as well, and a bridge. So all of these are newer features, and obviously with these new features, there will be new revenue channels that will be generated. But as of now, we charge the projects for bringing them on, for the marketing activities, for making sure that we are kind of getting all of these smart contracts audited and the works. So that is our business model for now.
Tarusha, actually, the concept of DeFi per se, right, has actually been very, very recent. It's only been around for the last couple of years. So, what kind of adoption you've seen for DeFi specifically in India?
DeFi space, I do think that the users in India in the crypto space, they are open to exploring different platforms on on the DeFi spectrum. But in terms of numbers, I still think that we can do much better, considering we are the second largest market for crypto. I do believe that a lot what you said, that it kind of comes with a lot of jargons, and all of these words are thrown around, and people don't necessarily understand all of them. So then when you don't understand something, you don't really want to put your money there. So that is a bit of a challenge, but I do see that this changing. So just think about how difficult it was when email had come out, to send out an email, right? It was not really for everybody. It was not very user friendly. So that is where you can put DeFi right now. That it's not exactly the most user friendly, and we are still trying to crack that. But once we do crack it, and because there is a lot more noise that is being made around crypto and DeFi now, I do feel that these numbers would rake up faster than in perhaps, like, say, the next 2 years or 3 years. We should have bigger numbers of Indians who are exploring the DeFi solutions that will enable them to create wealth, or to preserve their wealth, and just explore this non-conventional financial ecosystem that is being created, and not just speculation in terms of just sort of trading on an exchange.
So Tarusha, was actually going through your website, and in addition to the DeFi use cases that we talked about, right, I've seen that Oropocket also brings a lot of other interesting use cases and products to life. So can you quickly take us to some of the products that you offer today?
Yes, absolutely. So Oropocket has 3 products under its umbrella. Oropocket itself is the first product. That is where it's a fintech platform where we offer users fractional investment. Fractional meaning that you can start with as little as 100 rupees and invest in these digital assets. By digital assets, I mean these are real world assets. Like right now we have gold and silver. We intend to add more asset classes. And then you just go on the platform, you can start your investment. And on top of these assets, we offer financial services. So essentially what that means is we don't want anybody to feel that their money is stuck if they're putting it in an investment, like, say, in gold or silver.
Yeah.
We offer financial services like pay via UPI. So you can actually literally use your gold as fiat and make your payments, your day-to-day payments using UPI, using the Oropocket app. So that is one feature. We are testing out an asset-backed card as well. So again, it will work very similarly to the UPI feature, except that then it will be a physical or a virtual card that you will be using, and you can literally swipe the card, and an instant transaction can happen, wherein the same amount of gold would be sold, and you can make that particular expense. The idea here, obviously, we will be adding more to these services as well. We are exploring loans. We are exploring more asset classes, as I mentioned. The idea with Oropocket was always to give the end user freedom to do what they want with their money. So, Oropocket was started at the same time around when PNC Bank had failed, and Yes Bank was on a verge of failure. So we felt very strongly about this. We wanted the assets to be 100% insured. So, if you're putting if you're leaving your money in, say, like a bank, right, it gets devalued every year, right? It doesn't even beat inflation. So your fiat it's better off doing something else. So you would rather that, we would rather at least that you would invest your money and, let those investments do their job in preserving your wealth. So that is like the first step, and that is essentially what we are trying to do with Oropocket, giving users different kind of asset classes where they can actually make these investments, and then giving them 100% insurance, giving them high liquidity, so that they can actually utilize this money as well in case they need to, and don't feel like it is stuck somewhere. And it's fractional in nature. That essentially means that you can start with as little as 100 rupees, 50 rupees, and go forward. We have also launched like an AIP feature recently, which is basically like it's auto investment, which is like an SIP for gold and silver. So you can, again start with as little as 100 rupees, and you can decide the frequency at which, your account gets debited. You can create a mandate if you'd like, or you can come to the app and do it yourself manually. We encourage the mandate because, again, this is a way to sort of put your investments on autopilot, and you don't have to consciously think about going and doing it, because people tend to miss that out. So again, the idea with Oropocket was just to create like an app where it's easy for users to see different asset classes, invest in them, make their money work for them, and offer financial services. So that's the first step. Other two products are actually more crypto facing and DeFi facing. So the second is exactly the clone of Oropocket, except that's on the DeFi spectrum. It's called Open DeFi. It has a mix of real world assets as well as synthetics. We are also, dabbling with NFTs there. And the idea again is to give, full financial freedom and full prerogative to the user to do whatever they feel that they should be doing with their money. Then the third product, as I already mentioned, is Unifarm, which is a group farming and staking protocol.
Yeah.
So these last two products are more completely DeFi facing.
Awesome. A lot of action at Oropocket, Tarusha.
Yeah.
Too much going on.
Yep. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Tarusha, if our listeners want to know more about all these different initiatives that you have, and also the things that you have in your roadmap, what's the best way for our listeners to do that?
So we have a very active community on Telegram. We have very active on Twitter. So, you can go and check out our socials. You can check out our website. For the roadmap itself, it's available on the website, that, what is coming up. When do we launch the asset-backed cards, as an example, because we are testing them right now. If you want to check that out, you can visit the website, which is oropocket.com. The other website is opendefi.finance. And the third one is unifarm.co. So, you can check out the websites themselves and get this information, or check out our social.
Awesome, Tarusha. We are very excited for your journey. And what we'll do is we'll include all those details in our show notes as well. And thanks a ton, Tarusha, for taking out the time and speaking with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute pleasure.
That's it from India FinTech Diaries for this week. Do log on to our website, indiafintechdiaries.com, for exclusive content. We've also started a Substack newsletter. If you haven't yet subscribed, we would highly urge you to do so to get regular updates from us on what's happening in the Indian fintech space. Until then, stay safe. Thank you for joining.